Okay, welcome this morning. Hello, Mark.
Hey,
Do you prefer Marc Andre or Mark? Does it
Mark.
matter?
Mark is mine.
Good morning, Chantal. How are you?
Bonjour. Good.
Okay, well, the purpose of our meeting this morning was to just go over the launch strategy so you understand how we prepare and what it is that we expect to do to succeed. So I'm just going to go through a presentation that I have that we utilize to have that conversation. But before I do that, do you have any questions that you want answered?
It's alright by my part.
I'm sorry?
It's alright by my part. Ready to learn.
Okay, all right. If you have any questions while I'm going through this, don't hesitate to ask. So let me find my PowerPoint. Okay, there we go. Now, I usually have a bit of a challenge with this. Let's see if I can get this to work. Do you see my presentation?
Yep.
Okay, we're just going to go to the beginning. Jam screen sharing. Please move this window away from the shared application. Don't know what that means. All right. Okay. I think I got it. So let's begin. 5 is a magic number in Nikken, as you've probably figured out. We have the 5 pillars. We have many aspects of our business that revolve around that. And 3 is also another very, very special number in our business. But let's start with this concept of 5 to thrive. When we first make contact with somebody, assuming they're either somebody on our list or there's somebody that we meet along the way of life, and through our conversation with them, we decide they should be on our list. Now, I'm making that as a very clear distinction. Do you hear that background noise?
No.
Okay, I'm going to try muting Jean-Marc. I think it's coming from your audio. Or Marc-Andre, I'm sorry. Okay, so I've just muted you. You're good. So if you have a question, just raise your hand or something, and I'll unmute you. Okay. When there's two people that we have people that we know and people that we don't know. 2 types of people. The people that we know, we can put them on our list of contacts, and we can look at that list and examine it carefully and decide who do we feel would be really a strong candidate for this as a partner in business versus who is somebody who could really benefit from knowing about these products. And so we sort of segregate our list into 2 categories: products, product users, and potential business partners. Now, keep in mind, though, everyone who's a potential product user could also lead us to potential business partners. That's happened to me on several occasions. Where, in fact, one of my frontline platinums is as a result of a customer. So, so that's people we know, and that's how we begin our business. We begin our business with people we know. That's why it's very important to invest time in creating your contact list, and that's the thing you should spend high priority on in the first couple of days when you're involved in here. Then there are people that we meet along the way, and people who introduce us to people. They don't get to be on our contact list. I don't just tell everybody about Nikken. I qualify people, and then I have an approach as to how I'm going to engage them if there's somebody that I feel I'd like to be doing business with, or I see there's a real need. So what we call that is prospecting. Prospecting is trying to identify if somebody should be on your contact list, and then further identify what it is about that person that you like, why you would want to be in partnership with them, and even more so, trying to examine or listen very carefully to what they're saying or ask questions about their life to determine what might be a driving motivation for them to even consider sitting down with us for an hour and learning about Nikken. So prospecting, I call it, is the art of interviewing someone who doesn't know you're interviewing them. So you're learning about them, discovering who they are, what makes them tick, and whether or not this is the kind of person you would have fun building a business with, and at the same time listening for where in their life there might be a need. And I'm talking about a need in any one or more of the 5 pillars of health. So everything in our business begins with that 5 pillars of health. It's the why. Then we will have another conversation with them that leads to the how, and then we'll have the last conversation, which is the one that you and I are having right now, which is the what. What does it take to actually succeed, to realize your why? So if you look down here at the bottom, it says 5 pillars of health for driving your motivation for action. I'm going to actually give myself an opportunity to give annotations. Let's see, spotlight, like that. Okay, so can you see the spotlight on the window? All right, so first, everything begins with the driving motivation for somebody, why they would even bother to sit down and discuss anything with you. Then there's how, the tangible ways in which we can bring that why to life. The tangible ways in our case is the Nikken opportunity, which is a combination of things. It's the Nikken business, it's the Nikken products, it's the network marketing model, it's all of that, right? And so that presentation, by the way, is the presentation that I did in Montreal, the U 2.0 presentation, where I got into all of those things, compounding time, compounding the use of the products and so forth. That's the how we accomplish what we want. Now, this is where we're at today. We're discussing the specific actions that we need to take in order to manifest our why, which is essentially building our business, building our team. So, and that has to do with relationships, important relationships that we cultivate. So let's get into this. So the why is the 5 pillars. I already said that when you have a list of names, on that list there's going to be 2 types of people that you categorize. Those that might be interested in the business, or that you feel more specifically strongly about partnering with, and those who you feel could really benefit from the knowledge of these products, and who in turn may also know people who you can talk with, that you can ask some questions about and find out if there's somebody that you might want to talk to about the business. So the why here is to discover what it is about that person that makes them tick. Where in their life might there be an imbalance? And if I know this person well enough and they're on my list, presumably I know where they could be they might have an interest. Now I'm going to leave this conversation to an audio that I call contact and invite. Chantal knows this audio well. I use this audio as a learning tool. You'll find it on my favorites in my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is Good Vibes 40, GOODVIBES 40. Look for me, click on my favorites, find contact and invite, and listen. Not just listen, take notes and study this. We also use training materials by Eric Worre. Eric Worre, who's produced GoPro. We have a PDF that we can send to you as well that helps you cultivate and learn how to make that initial contact and how to even prospect. He gets into that as well in that little booklet. We have a Smart Start guide, again, that Chantal can send you. And I believe it's on page 20 that we begin educating you on how to make that initial contact and invitation to learn about Nikken. So this is really important information. This is why we're spending time on this right now. Your first initial contact sets up the tone. It sets up the expectation. It sets up how they're going to perceive this idea as it unfolds. It sets up how they perceive you, etc. So the initial contact is perhaps the most important step in the entire process, because if you can't get past that, you're not going to have the opportunity to present the information. And if they don't see the information, they can't make a decision to do something. So it's really important we get this part right. So we have some really excellent tools to help you prepare how to make that initial contact. And what you're going to find out is that it's really simple. It's a conversation. It's about telling somebody who you've known or who you've met why you'd like to talk to them about maybe partnering. you're going to tell them that it may not be something that for them, but the only way to know that would be through a discovery of information. And the reason why you thought this might be of interest to them is because of the various things you know about their 5 pillars. That they may have mentioned that they're tired of the job they have. They may have mentioned that there's some struggles in the house physically and so forth. Whatever you might know about what could be a possible motive of theirs. So first you state your motive for contacting them, which is based on your relationship with them, what you know about them as a person. You like them, you respect them, you admire them. Those are the kind of words. Then you would move to what you think would be their motivation for sitting down with you and having a conversation about partnering with you. Not about joining Nikken. They don't know what Nikken is. We don't talk about joining. We just simply, I'd like to talk to you about maybe partnering with you, working on a project together that I think has the potential to make a difference in the lives of many people and help you achieve what it is that we've set aside already in the beginning of this conversation that are important to you. What I'd like to do is sit down and have a coffee with you. Whatever the next step is that you're going to invite them to. It could be an in-home. It could be a one-on-one in a coffee shop. It could be a video conference. It could be whatever it is that you've decided is the platform you're going to use to run your business. I find the most effective meetings are the ones that are happening in person. And then we go down from there. When we're setting up a launch, which we're going to talk about shortly, usually what happens is, for the sake of time, depending on people's calendars and schedules, you may need to have 10 people invited to one meeting that you host in one somebody's living room, or usually it's a private venue. But when you're inviting people, if you know that there's going to be 10 people that you invite, each invitation is if it's the only person being invited. We don't talk about, I'm having people over, I'm having a team, I'm having a group, none of that. It's a specific meeting for them that you invite them to. And so it's always good to have more than one meeting scheduled, so that if they cannot meet you Tuesday, can you do it Wednesday? So you might have a week meeting Tuesday and a week meeting Wednesday scheduled, where you're filtering these invites into, and it's at that meeting that they're going to be presented the how, because you've already talked about the why briefly on that invitation. So let me move on from here. By the way, sorry, I'm getting distracted with phone calls here. Mark, did you have a similar conversation with Chantal where she was really interested in discovering what makes you tick, what you might be looking for in life, what might motivate you? Oh, I'm sorry. Let me unmute you here. Go ahead.
Yeah, the first time I saw Chantal, they invited me to take a coffee and say the same things like you said right now. How's going your life? Where's your pillar right now? They asked me everything about this, and they said, you're gonna do this with me. You're right there. Your mind, your family, you're the right person. You can do with this, like what you said right now.
Exactly. Okay, good. So that's I guess the point, that if done properly, then the person is going to be very open to the information, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so the next step then, let me just click back here. Next step would be how. So in this presentation, I have a bunch of images here. You see the 5 elements that Nikken works with: sleep, air, water, nutrition, light. And then behind there, I don't know if you can see that, but that's different denominations of currency. Money. Money is also an element. And not only do we need the products to help our physical bodies, but money is also a driving force for how we can accomplish the things that we want in life. So this is essentially a representation of the presentation that we talked about in Montreal, where we get into how Nikken can help somebody achieve what it is that they want to achieve, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially. And so, and you've seen that presentation, yes? Okay. And so now you're at the point where you say, okay, I love this. I like what I see. What do I need to do to succeed? What do I need to do to get started, right? Those are the questions you should be asking in your mind. And so you may have already covered some of this with Chantal, but for the purposes of this meeting, let me just do it myself. What it takes to succeed is to build relationships. We're in the people business. Believe it or not, we're not in the product business. We're in the people business. We have incredible products, but we're in the people business. So we're building relationships with people. Some of those relationships are a partnering for the business, and some of those relationships are consumers, people who will enjoy the benefits of the products. We'll be in touch with them on an ongoing basis. They'll be repeat customers. They may be on auto ship. They may be purchasing other products because they want to expand their knowledge of the Nikken product line. Every time Nikken comes out with a new product, we want to make sure they know about it. So they stay in touch and connected to the company, and we stay in touch and connected with them. And if you remember in the presentation, we talked about that quality enrollment, that $500 of business that you're going to do every month. Part of that business comes from having customers. So those are the kind of relationships we're looking for. And what's interesting too, by the way, the average auto ship order in Nikken is 183 points. So you and two customers together would make up over $500 in business if they were doing what the average person does. So we're going to look for that. We're going to build that little unit while we're seeking to find our partners to expand our organization through. And then we're going to teach them to do exactly the same. So there's our little business model, if you will. So how does this get started? Let's visually look at this. I have a contact on my contact list who knows nothing. And I want them to get fully informed so that they definitely see the reasons why they might want to become a partner with us. I'm going to mute you again and get this background noise here. So we want to go take somebody from being, let me get this, I guess I closed my annotation. Excuse me one sec. Spotlight, okay. We want to take somebody from being zero informed to being 100% informed so that they can go from being a contact to being a partner. Now, 100% informed means something to us. Let me see if I can move this so I can get this out of the screen here. Okay. What it means is that they're informed enough to invest their time, their money, and their contacts. Their time being the time that it takes to build the business, whether they're doing it, 10 hours a week, 20 hours a week, whatever they can do, but they're going to dedicate some time. They're going to make the time. Everybody has the same 24 hours in the day, and we make the time for things that are a priority. Why would they make the time for this? If they have a compelling why, and if they have reasonable belief that the Nikken is a great how, and that what it takes to succeed is manageable, then they'll invest their time. Money is the amount of money that they have is not so important. It's whether or not they're willing to invest the money that it takes to succeed. And the money that it takes to succeed in Nikken is not like a franchise. It's not like your traditional business where you have to put up a whole lot of money, and that doesn't assure you of anything. You may lose all that money because you have to buy equipment, furniture, inventory, whatever. In Nikken, your investment, most of the money that you invest in Nikken is in your own products for your own personal use, to develop yourself, to develop your health strategy, and for you to have to share with others what it is that you have. But it's primarily for your own benefit, to build your story and to build your health. But it's kind of like a snowflake. What makes a snowball is many snowflakes. What makes a snowman is building that snowball. Now, if you want to make a snowman and you have a small snowball and you start rolling that snowball in the snow, it's hard to do if it's a really tiny snowball. The bigger the ball that you make at first, it's easier to roll in the snow and create that snowball. So the more you can invest in getting your products going, the better for your business and for you. So that's one of the things to consider, and we'll look at that in the upcoming slides. And why would they do that? Well, because they feel that they're going to get a return on that investment, both in terms of their health and in terms of their finances. So, and then lastly, they're going to invest their contacts. This is more about them feeling comfortable enough to invest their reputation. We have people coming into Nikken from various walks of life, from very, very high levels of the corporate world, self-employed people who have built robust reputations and so forth. So why would they want to put that at risk? They wouldn't, unless they feel that what we're doing here is really meaningful, impactful, and has a high level of integrity and professionalism. So how do I get somebody to invest their time, their money, and their contacts? Is I must deliver information and present a strong case for why Nikken is a safe bet, why this is a great place to invest your time, your money, and your reputation, because it's going to benefit not only yourself, but many other people in a very positive way. So we are tasked with how do we get somebody who knows nothing about this confident enough to be able to make that kind of investment. Why are they going to make that investment? Because they're going to go and we're going to help them launch. I'm not sure how to move this little guy here. I guess I can't. Do you see that thing that across the screen? A little bar that says color and eraser, and no? You just see me. Okay, good. That's good to know. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to focus people on a 90-day launch. Really, it's important that we help people recognize that they can expect a reasonable result within 90 days. That's something that, even in business, by the way, is extraordinary. I don't know of that many businesses in life where you can expect a return in 90 days. But we want to have people expect a return in 90 days. And so in order for me to have that person understand that we want their focus, we want their attention, we want their time, their money, their contacts committed to a launch strategy so that we can produce a result that they can then say, hey, this is worth it. Let's continue. And so the information that we need to give a contact so that they can come to the conclusion over here is these following pieces of information, which we've already talked about. Why should I entertain a project of any kind, regardless of whether it's Nikken or whatever? It's just, why should they look at something other than what they've got going on right now? First conversation. So that's going to be turning a contact into someone who's interested in having a conversation with us. Then we want to convert that conversation into someone who sees the benefits of being a customer of Nikken first and foremost, and maybe even a consultant. So that's the how presentation and how we deliver that. Then we want to take the existing consultant or the person who's thinking, maybe I want to do this as a business, and we want to show them what it takes to do this as a business in a big way. And then they can decide if they want to partner with us and make that 90-day launch. Make sense? Okay. So as we said before, the first conversation should generate interest. Why is always the thing that creates interest. When somebody has a why, which is related to those 5 pillars of health, then there's a reason for them to explore the how. The how is where we build belief that Nikken is really a viable way of getting the job done, a business vehicle and a product vehicle that can really create the outcome they're looking for in life. And then to the what conversation is how they can become an active participant, or what we're now referring to as active wellness. They can become active in their wellness, which is the whole 5 pillars of health. Now, in our process, what we'd like to do sooner than later is have them attend some type of an event, either an online event or better yet, a live event, like the one that we had in Montreal. The people who went to that event, they had an opportunity to interact with other people, to see the big picture, experience the emotions, and hear the testimonials and so forth that are associated with Nikken. We call that a lock-in event because it emotionally locks people into the idea. It's one thing to say, oh, I really understand this mentally, but that's not going to drive people to action. What drives people to action is emotion. So we've got to connect the head and the heart. And these lock-in events are very powerful in being able to do that. And the bigger the lock-in event is, the more that it requires of them to attend. For instance, if it's in another city, or if it's a couple of days, or for instance, the event in San Antonio coming up in October, those kind of lock-in events are transformational. Now, we don't want to wait 3 months, 4 months, 5 months for this process to happen. So if a lock-in event is not happening right now in your neighborhood, in your town, we'll create one or we'll plug into one the best way we can. The reason being, again, for that last step, for somebody to really get on the launch pad, they need to be emotionally locked in. And so that lock-in event is a very important step in this process of identifying partners. We may have a whole bunch of wellness consultants over here, but we don't have partners. We could sponsor 5, 10, 15 people who join the business, but don't yet make the shift to this until they get through that lock-in experience. It could be a Humans Being More event that we have coming up in Montreal. That's a very powerful, in fact, that's one of the 2 most powerful events of all as a lock-in event, is the Humans Being More. And the other one would be a large event like the San Antonio event. And then we have others to rely on as need be. So this is our process. And what we want to do is we want to bring people through this process within 30 days. For instance, an excellent strategy is the Business 21 Club. The Business 21 Club essentially is, let's put 21 people minimum through this process, from which we're going to produce a result. In the case of a Business 21 Club, it's 3 senior consultants and 6,000 points. Now, I prefer a different take on that. I prefer the Business 21 Club as something that happens just because you're doing what you need to do in order to effectively launch your business. In other words, the Business 21 Club is not my goal. It's just simply something that we receive as a benefit. And by the way, there's an extra bonus for someone who achieves the Business 21 Club. I think it's $150 bonus, something of that sort. And then there's other bonuses that Nikken has just introduced for finding our 3 partners, which, by the way, that's what we're talking about. Our 30-day strategy is, let's find 3 partners, 3 people that we can work with and launch their business in the next cycle. So this 30-day strategy to identify 3 is the first month of a 3-month strategy, our 90-day launch. And so let's talk about, how does it work? If I'm going to find 3 people who partner with me, typically what we've experienced in Nikken is 9 people have to join me as a consultant. 9 people who join me as a consultant and then finish this process. One of those 3, 1 in 3 people, the rule of thirds, typically convert to becoming a partner. It's getting really serious. So right now, you're a consultant. Are you registered, by the way? Mark, are you registered? Yeah, okay. So from what I can tell at this moment in time, you're a consultant. I cannot tell yet if you're a partner. So there will be steps that you take, investment of time, money, and contacts, which will indicate to me that you're saying, okay, Mike, I want to be one of those partners, because the people that Mike DiMuccio focuses on are the partners, not the consultants. I don't have time for that. I have time for the partners because they're the ones who say, I want to launch my business, and that's where I focus. Similarly is what you'll do. You'll spend your time focused on those who want to launch their business. But to get to those people, we have to introduce a number of people. So 9 people who join us, which, by the way, if 9 people join us in the business as a consultant, there's a really high probability that there's more than 9 people who've become a customer. Why do I say that? Because in order for 9 people to join me in the business, I would have had to have presented about 27 to 30 people. And so this number falls within the Business 21 Club. So if we're doing this, we should end up matching the criteria necessary for a successful 21 Club. So what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to invite a number of people to go through this process within 30 days. If I do this one person at a time, it's not going to be a very effective launch strategy. I need to do this with many people all at one time and focus, which is why we do this in 30 days and 90-day launch blasts. So this is your launch. It's like taking a rocket off the launch pad. You know, it's all or nothing, or getting an airplane off the ground. You know, they don't put half throttle or quarter throttle. It's full throttle, and they get that plane up to speed, and it gets off the ground. Then when they get up in the sky high enough, they can throttle back and they level out, and then they can fly around there. And if they want to increase the altitude again, they throttle up, and up goes the plane. So that's our strategy for building this business. Every single person who raises their hand and says, I want to be a partner. So now, if 27 people say, Mike, I'm interested. Mark, I'm interested in learning about what you're doing and having a coffee with you. Talk to me. Tell me what you got in mind. And then they go through the rest of this process. Then we will have the outcome that we're looking for if this happens within a month's time. But in order for me to find 27 people who are willing to sit down with me in one way or another, how many people do I need to contact? How many people do I need to be prepared to contact? Again, we're just going to rely on this rule of thirds, which says, if I've got 81 people that I make phone calls to in the manner that I need to, in that approach that I was talking about earlier on, that contact and invite, I contact and invite people the way that I've been trained to, which is state my motive for calling them, state the motive that I feel that they would warrant them in sitting down with me, a reason why I believe they would benefit, and then offer to sit down with them in some way, as an in-home, a coffee, whatever it is. I know if I've contacted 81 people, given people's busy schedules and when they can meet me and when they can review this information and blah, 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 about a third of them are actually going to give me the time that I need in order to get this process underway. So if I want to find 27 people really, really quick, I need to be able to contact or be prepared to contact 81 people really, really, really quick. Well, if I need to contact 81 people really, really quick, I need a list. I should have a list. So there's where this comes in the time, money, contacts. The contacts part, that's why we need contacts. If you're willing to invest the names of the people you've known and grown up with, and if they know you by a first name basis, they should be on your contact list. And this can go back in time. Doesn't matter, because the approach is going to be personal no matter what. So we want to help people build that contact list, because that's how they build their business. Whether it's 81 people that are people in your immediate sphere of influence, extended sphere of influence, friends of friends, family, and so forth, that is something you need to take time and invest time in right away. So we like to get people building that contact list right away, and start with 10. And the thing that I would ask you to do in building this list is, don't decide for the person. If you got a name in your head, write the name down. Move on to the next name. Move on to the next name. Move on to the next name. We also have in that startup book, the Smart Start Guide, a place where you can register those names. And a way that you can even qualify those names. Are they somebody who I would be looking to partner with, or somebody I would be looking as a potential consumer or customer? So this is the preparation stage, if you will, of your launch campaign. And just like in every launch, there's a preparation. So investing your time, your money, and your contacts is something we plan to do. It's not just something that happens by accident. And what I'm sharing with you right now is a very strategic plan. This is how I launched my business and was able to produce the income that I produced and be able to be full-time in Nikken very, very quickly, because I didn't do it like the majority of people in network marketing do. I'll tell you how the majority of people in network marketing do and why they never make a career of it, or they can't achieve a full-time income. Here's why. See this process here? Let's call this cooking a noodle. You ever have pasta? You like pasta? Me too. I like pasta. Probably not good for me, but I like it anyway. But if I cook one noodle of pasta, I take a noodle and I put it through the process, and at the end of it, the noodle's ready. I cook one noodle at a time. How long is it going to take before I eat? And when I finally do eat, am I going to even want to? The pasta is going to be cold. It's going to be blah. So when we're cooking a noodle, there's things that you got to do. You got to boil some water. You put a little salt in the water, and then you put the noodle in, and then you stir it around now and then, and you check. And then when it's al dente, you strain the water, and then you're prepared to mix that with the sauce. There's a process, right? But we're not going to cook one noodle at a time. We'll starve to death. What we want to do is we want to cook a meal, which means we need a whole bunch of noodles at the same time. Hence, we need to contact and invite a bunch of people, to move a bunch of people to the next step, to move a bunch of people to the next step, to move a bunch of people to the next step in as short amount of time as possible, 30 days or less. And that's how you launch the business, because what will end up happening is, think about it. If we started with 81 names and now we have 3 partners, 3 in 81 is not a lot. But it takes, you need to be prepared to make that many contacts in order to find those 3 partners. And that's the work. Because once you identify those partners, then now we just duplicate. Now we just help them do what we just did. And we know what we did because we did it. So that's my life. My life now is just teaching people to do what I've done. And I did that 23 years ago. So, and it's working, and it's still working. So here you go. So as I said, we contact and invite people. How many a day? That's what we have to figure out. If we want to do this in 2 weeks, then there's so many contacts per day you need to make. So you're going to find it's somewhere between 3 to 6 people a day need to be phoned in order to find out that 1 or 2 person per day that wants to sit down and meet. And every week we need to sit down and meet with a number of people. So if we're contacting and reaching out to, say, 6 people a day, and 2 say, yeah, I want to sit down with you, then over 4 or 5 days, that's about 10 people in the week, which means we could conceivably get through our 27 presentations within the first 2 or 3 weeks, which is ideal, because that leaves us the last week to finish up the month, to close out the month, develop that strategy, lock in that strategy with our key people, and then we've got our 3 partners. Now, all of this activity is going to produce volume. And if you remember in the compensation plan, volume is what allows us to advance in rank. But the real focus of this whole launch strategy as a partner is to find other partners. You're going to produce volume. You're going to find customers. You're going to have consultants join you and maybe buy some products and not do much more. Or buy some products and do the one noodle at a time. We're going to have all that. But our focus, our intention, is to go out and find those partners who will be with us on the beaches of the world, celebrating the amazing life and lifestyle that we've created for ourselves. So don't get bogged down in the other details. Keep your mind and your heart focused on finding those people that you could have a real life and a real journey with. So as I mentioned earlier, here's our presentations that cover that. Any questions so far? Okay. Let's take a look at this next piece. When we're launching, we have different strategies for how we get people started. And I'm just going to move this screen up here. Okay. The 500-point strategy is your initial order. It's also the quality enrollment, what we refer to as the minimum for quality enrollment. So this is sort of your baseline. This is the minimum expectation I have and you should have of yourself and of anyone else who joins your team who wants to be a partner. If they don't want to be a partner, they can do whatever they want. They can buy a pair of insoles and do whatever they want. But if they're looking to build a business that is about duplication, which is what our partnering is all about, then we have to have baselines. So 500 PV strategy could be something like, I don't know, the day pack and maybe the auto ship order, something like that. So now what happens when we purchase something? We're going to recommend that something. We're going to recommend to people they do what we did. We're not going to recommend very successfully that people do so much more than what we did. They'll always look at us and say, well, how'd you get started? Because these are your peers. Now, that's not 100% of the time. Sometimes people will surprise you. And even though maybe you started with 1,500 points, they might start with 4,000. They might go and get the whole wellness home. That happens too. But there's a tendency for us to feel comfortable and confident when we recommend what we did. And so my strategy is always concerning this is invest with that in mind, that you're going to be asking other people to do the same thing, and with confidence because you've done it yourself. So a 500-point strategy, we're going to ask those partners and consumers to do the same. And so at the end of this month, and by the way, if you remember, we had 9 that leads to 3. I'm only showing you a couple. So let's get this back. Here we go. So Vital Day Pack and an auto ship. There we go. So at the end of month 1, we found our partners. We found some customers, at least 2, who are committed to that auto ship, and we've got our business model running. We now have our 500 quality enrollment scenario indefinitely. Now we've got 3 partners. We've advanced in rank to senior. We have 3 partners, and we have our 500 volume per month happening. That's a great month, great launch, excellent. Now what? Well, we have 3 partners, but the now what is duplicate. So month 2, that's what we do. We focus on helping them execute the same launch that we did. After all, they're partners. After all, we can expect the same from them. And so now we've got our Nikken business model running. We've advanced to executive. Our partners have advanced to senior. They're just 1 month behind us. And then in month 3, we work with their partners in helping their partners create their own launch and outcome of that launch. So this is a perfect world and an exact duplication. Does it work this way all the time? Of course not. But if we don't have any plan, then what's the point? So this is our plan. This is what we seek to execute. Now, just as a footnote, I way exceeded this in my business launch. I went way beyond this. By the end of my first month, I actually had 300 people in my organization, but I had a running start. I didn't tiptoe in. So I see this as a reasonable expectation for a 90-day launch. You're silver, by the way, now. As a silver, we maximize the compensation plan. And so money starts to show up pretty good here. You're making about $1,000 a month in residual income. You've made a few thousand already on the way to creating this silver ship. So you're in profit. You've been profitable since day 1, and you're starting to accumulate a really nice residual check. Now that's $24,000 a year in income. But like I mentioned in the presentation, your partners they're not going to stop there. They're executive, and they're 1 month away from breaking silver, so they're going to do the same thing. They're going to keep going. But our other strategy is, oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that. So we've already talked about that, the QE, and they're doing the QE. What about if we instead initially asked people to start with, say, a day pack and the environment pack? Very popular combination, by the way, in Nikken. Most popular combination is the day pack and environment pack. And some people will do the day pack and the sleep pack. Also combination. Well, they always do two. The majority of people who start in Nikken start with 2 packs. And they pick the ones that are most relevant to them at the time. Sleep packs are starting to actually take off because we're getting a lot more testimonials on sleep happening right now. But anyway, 1,500 point strategy. So now this is what we're asking people to duplicate. What's different? And the only thing that's different is what we do and what we ask them to do. The number of people we're doing, the process, that doesn't change. It's the same work. It's just, am I going to recommend a Ferrari or am I going to recommend, a Lamborghini? So at the end of the day, here's what happens. We achieve ranks much faster. And therefore, our return is much higher in terms of income. So rather than hundreds of dollars, we're now into thousands of dollars in terms of our return. And this income that's being generated here is somewhere around 3,000. So this is an excellent strategy that I recommend the most, because I think the 500 PV strategy is an excellent strategy. It's accommodating for anybody in any financial situation, but this one is going to get them a lot further, a lot faster. And so definitely consider this in what you're doing in terms of your initial order. There are people who do come in as executive. That's 4,000 points. They get all the packs. Essentially, they buy all the packs. People can do that. People like to do that, especially executives, especially people who they think of $4,000 or $5,000 and they think, that's all? That's how much it's going to cost me to get a business like this going? Because they're so used to spending big money in the world they're living in. So keep that in mind. You may be introducing this to people who may think $500 is a joke and they won't invest because they think it's a joke. So you need to present the whole story so that they can see in their mind what relates to them. And then we want to help them make that choice. Okay, any questions so far? You do? Okay, let me unmute you. Go ahead, Chantal.
Let's say that I have an order coming in from one of my contacts. And this order is for a sleep system. And because a new consultant just joined in and he has this rebate, this discount, is it okay to pass the order through the consultant that just signed in to give him the order, then using the 20% off on the sleep pack? So then he gets automatically the points that he needs, the PV points to rise up.
Okay. Back up a second. Whose order is this?
This is a contact of mine who's looking into buying a sleep system.
Okay.
Or
so your question is, do I pass my points on to other people? That's never been a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah. So in this business, it's about building independence. And if you're doing that, you're right off the gate, you're building dependence. So it sets off the wrong attitude of expectancy, dependency. It's just not the business we're in. We're in the business of duplication. So the faster we help somebody become independent, the better it is for them and the better it is for their business. I'm going to give you an example of this, by the way. Many years ago, I interviewed a gentleman in Montreal, by the way, and by the time we finished the whole presentation, he told me that he had lost a lot of money in another business and that he wasn't making any money in that business and that he didn't have any money to invest in Nikken to get started. He didn't even have the money to register. So I thought, okay. And I told him a little story and I said, if you had a daughter, you don't have a daughter. Okay, well, if you had a daughter, let's say, and she needed an operation and that operation was going to cost $10,000. Otherwise, it could be your life situation. She could be really at risk. What would you tell your daughter? He said, I'd tell my daughter I'd find the money. I said, okay, that's a good answer. Here's what I suggest then. I suggest you go wherever it is that you would have gone to find the money for your daughter's operation and find the money to get your Nikken business started. And with that conversation that ended, very cordial, I thought I'd never see this guy again. 3 months later, I get a phone call. I'm in Toronto. He's in Montreal. He calls me and says, I got the money. Then he tells me how he got the money, which is he was very clever about it. He went and started selling long distance calling cards on the streets of Montreal at lunch hour, saying 1 in 17 people would sign up and I would make $25 and blah, blah, blah. 3 months later, not only did he have the money to invest in his Nikken products, which by the way, he came in at the 1500 strategy. He also had money to put a down payment on a car. Now think about it. He's making money selling long distance calling cards. He's doing well at it, but that's not why he was doing it. He's doing that so he could build a Nikken business because he wanted what the Nikken business could offer him, which was represented in what I was presenting and what I was living. He wanted to partner with me. Now, what happens if I said to that guy, don't worry, I'll pay for your application form. Don't worry, I'll pay for your products. I'll give you the startup capital because I'm making $20,000, $30,000 a month. I can afford to do that then. I would have killed that guy. He would not have done what he needed to do to prove to himself and to me that he was really serious about this. By the way, what happens to the story? He became the first millionaire in Montreal in Nikken. So the point of the matter is you definitely don't want to do for others what they can do for themselves because you'll be actually hurting them. It's almost like the butterfly story. You see a butterfly struggling in the cocoon and it's struggling and it's struggling. And then you take a little knife and you cut the thing just to help it out so it can get out, not realizing that in nature, the struggle for the butterfly to get out of the cocoon is designed to strengthen the wings so that it can actually fly. And if you let it out prematurely, it will die because it won't have the strength to use its wings. So this is a principle that I adhere to in the business, and I believe it's one of the reasons why I've helped other people succeed. So just keep that in mind. I'm glad we've got this on recording as well. Okay. Does that answer your question, Chantal?
Yes, thank you.
Right on. All right, we're almost done here. So it all comes back to why. Why would you want to do this, Mark? Why would people want to be a part of this? Nikken offers people a better way. It's a better way to achieve what they're after in life. They want the things that life has to offer. They want to have a healthy body. They want to have a healthy outlook on life. They want to have healthy relationships with members of their family. They want to be somebody who's recognized and appreciated for the contribution to society. And they want to have money, the kind of money that they don't have to struggle for, but that provides a reasonable living and maybe even more, maybe some abundance, maybe opportunities that they would not have had it not been for the money. So people are working every single day right now. Today, at this hour, there's people right now doing something they hate, and they're doing it only because of the money. That's not a good way to live. And that's causing them mental stress and emotional stress and physical stress. And of course, it's taxing on the society and on the family. Right now, there's people out there who are doing really, really well financially, but are bored. They're sick and tired of doing the thing that they're doing, and they're frustrated with the people they're working with. And it's just such a challenge to get to. They need a better way. They need to know there's a better way. Right now, there's people out there that are suffering physically, and they've gone through all the medical things. I was one of those people. They need to know there's a better way. And it's just up to us to share that with them. Right now, there's a lot of people who don't have time to spend with the people they really care about. There's too much riding on them. They have to be at work. They have to be, all these have-tos. They need to know there's a better way. Residual income is the way out of the rat race. They need to know that that's possible. And then lastly, society isn't getting healthier. It's getting sicker. We're living longer, but we're not living healthier. We need to know there's a better way. People need to know there's a better way. And the Nikken way is something that's sensible. Compound the good behaviors that will lead into a healthy living. Compound the bad behaviors, and that's going to lead to, we know, disease. So we have the vehicle. Do you have the desire? That we can't give you. That's got to come you got to be born with it. I like what Dennis and Ruth Williams say. We just look for people who got the batteries already run in their system, and we just point them in the right direction. So you got to have the batteries already inside of you, and I believe that's why you're on this call. So any questions about what we've covered?
Everything's all right.
Straightforward?
Yeah.
Chantal?
I'm good.
Okay. In that case, the next step is obviously to make the investment. Time, money, contacts. Plan your schedule with Chantal. Plan your schedule. She'll include me in that because we're going to probably do a lot of these meetings. You're going to want to introduce people to me via Zoom. This is a beautiful tool, and you can do it even on a phone, so I could be anywhere and do this. And that's it. I think you guys have already talked about initial orders, so you've got things underway already there. That's it. So, Chantal, you're going to probably want a copy of this presentation, I assume. Okay, I will post it on YouTube and send you the link.
Thank you.
All right.
Right.
Well, if there's nothing else, unless you have another question of any kind.
Well, if ever they are, then Mark will send them to me by email, or when we can talk here, we will talk, and then we'll pass them along. And we have our weekly call, you and I, and text and all that. So definitely, I feel that we're really well covered. So there's no question for me on my part so far.
Okay, good, perfect.
I take the link from Chantal and then pass to my friend.
Okay. Excellent. Well then, have a great day. Get that list started if you haven't already. Work on that list like your life depended on it. That list is definitely, remember, this is how we start our business. By the time you're a silver, a gold, a platinum, most of the people will be people you never knew. But we always start with people we know. That's how we start.
And I can say by experience that list keeps on growing all the time. It becomes like your night bed. Yeah.
If you haven't already got a copy of Eric Worre Go Pro, this is a must. This is an amazing education. 7 steps to becoming a network marketing professional. Absolutely a must. And then the other book that I like is the book by Richard Brooke, the 4-Year Career. So those are 2 really excellent tools. You don't really need that much more. There's always good stuff in the business that you can read. Keep your mind is the thing that we're working with. You know that you understand that what we need to overcome are the obstacles in your mind, because the obstacles are in your mind are from all of the years of your upbringing and where you are today. And so to overcome that, we need to work on that. That's something that it's like daily bread. You have to be working on your mind every day, listening to positive motivational things, reading positive things, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes before you go to sleep. Always go to sleep with something positive in your mind. It affects the way you think. And if you change your mind, then 5 years from now, you'll see you'll be a completely different person. The life you're living.
Just so you know, Mark received the PDF of the last book you mentioned, the 5-year, the 4-year career plan.
Excellent. Okay, so there you have it. Now it's just, let's start walking, and then we start running, and then...
We're running. We're all in.
All right, me too.
Thank you, Michael.
Have a great day.
I see you.